Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the biggest mistakes that I've made in this hobby and some of the biggest mistakes I see others make in this hobby to hopefully save you from making those same mistakes and having a lot better experience. And the truth is, the majority of mistakes I see, they have nothing to do with the buy or what you paid for the item. They have nothing to do with the sell or what you sold it for or how long you held it. And they have everything to do with what happens in between. And no, I'm not talking about price depreciation and price appreciation. I'm talking about what happens in between up here. You are what happens in between. The item never changes other than price goes up, price goes down. You come up with all these different scenarios and all these different fears and rationalizations and justifications on why you should do X, Y, and Z. And that is truly the biggest reason I see people make mistakes in this hobby. So listen, if you're here today for me to pump up a new modern product or modern card and send it to the moon and manipulate all the market and the TCG player charts, which apparently I'm told that's all my channel does. I see you out there. You know what? Come back tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. We'll spin the big wheel, whatever it lands on. We'll say, all right, darkness ablaze. Let's pump darkness ablaze today. Let's send it to the moon. Everybody get rich. And we'll do that tomorrow for all of you guys out there that think that's what we do here. But to everyone else, let's talk about the mistakes. First and foremost, unfortunately, I know it would make me more relatable to have these gigantic losses, like 6-figure losses, 5-figure losses, heck, even $1,000 plus losses. I've never had those in the hobby. Now look, if we want to talk about my early 20s, my day trading days, hey, I can get real vulnerable. We can talk about how I lost tens of thousands of dollars. Heck, I've lost, 4 figures, 5 figures in a single day in the stock market day trading. So I'm not like immune to losses. It's just I've never seen major losses in this hobby. Part of the reason maybe because of the timing I got into the hobby. The other reason could be because I am extremely conservative in my plays. And what I mean by that is I don't chase, right? If an item or card runs away without me before I'm able to get it, I let it go. I don't try to chase after it. I buy my sealed product extremely low. The cards that I have, I usually grade myself or, buy at very lows on the market where there's very little downside risk. And because of this, I have very little actual financial losses. Now, I miss out on a lot of things. I don't hit the big home run plays that other people do because they took higher risks. But that's kind of the reason why I don't have gigantic losses. And so some of the losses I've had, everyone kind of knows the Pokemon Go thing. It's real public, where I bought a bunch of cases of Pokemon Go because I really believed that set was going to pump, and it did not. But guys, realistically, I didn't lose that much, right? I lost time more than anything. I sold some of the cases locally on Facebook buy, sell, trade, and met some people locally and I actually made some money on those cases. I sold some on Instagram where it was goods and services or friends and family. Some I broke even, some I might have made a little bit after shipping. And then the cases that I sold on TCG Player and eBay, I did lose a little bit after fees and shipping. Altogether, that entire play, all those cases, I lost like a few $100s. That's it. Now, I lost a lot of time, and I lost a lot of headache having to do all that for no money. Actually, I had to pay money to do all that work. But I was able to get out of them. No big deal, right? When I make grading plays, right? Buy a bunch of raw singles on the internet, and they come in, and nothing's gradable, so I got to flip them back on the market, and maybe I can do some arbitrage plays from TCG Player to eBay or vice versa. Maybe I can't, and maybe I lose a few dollars every single card, and it adds up to $50, $100, $200, whatever. Take the loss, move on. Same thing with the cards you actually do grade. You get a bunch of 9s. Okay, I gotta sell all the 9s, eat the grading costs, the fees, the shipping. Maybe I lose $5, $10, $15, $20 a card, whatever it may be. I eat that, and again, I lose $100, $200, $300. You move on. These are the extent of the major losses that I take in the hobby. Now, have I been down on sealed product investments before? Well, sure. Sure, I've been down, but you know how it works. You only get hurt if you jump off the roller coaster. And so, I've stayed in those plays longer. They've, recovered over time. And now, I'm back up on those investments. So I never actually took losses. But these are kind of the worst things that have happened to me in the hobby. So I don't say this to brag, and I don't say this to try to, make people think I'm just smart enough not to lose. It's just, I just don't take the risks necessary to have those kind of losses. Now, again, I'm not going to have those crazy Instagram-worthy, YouTube video-worthy plays where I made $10,000, I made $100,000 on this play. I'm not going to have those, unfortunately, but I'm okay with that. So getting into the biggest mistakes I made though, the biggest mistakes I made are not buying. Plain and simple. It's letting fear get in the way, letting me rationalize and justify why not to buy something. And that truly is what's made me lose the most amount of money in this hobby. So one of the things that always sticks out to me, I've told this story before, was there was a listing back in the day of Fossil first edition booster boxes, and the seller had 15, 20 available, and they were listed at $1,500. And this was a time after I had sold one of my companies, and I had massive amounts of cash in the bank, so I didn't have to go into credit card debt to buy this stuff. I had the money. I could have easily bought it. And I decided to buy one box instead of buy all 15 and 20. If you do the math, $1,500 times, 15 or 20 boxes, we're talking about like 25 to 30 grand, right? It's a lot of money, but I had the cash, right? I had more than that cash. It's not like buying that would have put me in risk of paying my bills or anything like that. And I didn't make the play. And it's not the fact that I didn't make the play, it's the reasons I didn't make the play. There are none. There are none other than our own fear getting in the way, which is irrational in my opinion, right? Everything up to that point since I've been back in the hobby has showed all of those older boxes had been steadily rising over time. We've never seen a sharp dip on them. We've never seen, anything go at auction and not sell. So they had a degree of liquidity, and they had been very stable, right? The hobby was stable. Everything was stable. And so there was no data to show me this was a risky purchase, right? The biggest risk was, well, you buy it, maybe it stays the same, maybe it goes down a little bit, you have to sell all your boxes, and you lose maybe $200-$300 a box after shipping and fees, and you get out, and you take $200-$300 times 15 or 20, I don't know, you take a few $1,000 loss. Big deal, right? Big deal. And I didn't think that way back then though. And I think a lot of you out there don't think that way now. You never put your risk in terms of a dollar amount. And that's one of the biggest things I want you to learn from in this video. Make sure you put your risk analysis into a dollar amount, right? Not just this, everything can go to zero, Armageddon. Guys, even like 90 sports card boxes or like failed TCGs, if you list those boxes at 99-cent auctions, free shipping, guess what? They sell. Or say you put the actual shipping cost, $8 to ship it. Guess what? They sell, and they do get ran up to a certain point. Something going to zero would mean you list a 99-cent auction and no one buys it, right? And it's literally worth less than zero. And so this doesn't happen. And so this whole fear of things going to zero, it's irrational, right? So your fears need to be based on legitimate data and a legitimate dollar amount, so you can actually put it in terms of real dollars, so you know what you're actually risking. And this is the biggest issue I see people make, is not doing that step. And that's what I used to do. I never put it in terms of real dollars. All I thought was, am I really going to put $25,000 or $30,000 into a Pokemon product, into a child's card game? This is way before this was very proven. Like it started to get proven, right? This is probably, I don't even know what time this was, 17, 18, something like that. And just the fear of having my money not in my bank account, not having that cash, that liquid cash there in case I needed it, just having it locked up in an investment scared me. I was scared and just didn't make the play. And similar things to that, right? There were tons of collections being auctioned off back then when the hobby was starting to heat up back in the late 2000 teens, 17, 18, 19. A lot of collections being auctioned off. And guys, when I tell you these were massive dollar collections, like Gold Stars, Shinings, Crystals, First Editions, like the creme de la creme of the hobby. And, these sets were going for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Again, which I had the money for. And, I'd be looking at all these auctions. I'd be zooming in on every picture, trying to, find the condition, trying to reach out to the sellers. The seller wouldn't message me back, so then I'd get a little fishy and weirded out there, and I'd watch the auctions count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'd never place a bid, and the people who won those auctions probably did very well, made tens of thousands of dollars. I'm not making that number up. Tens of thousands of dollars on those auctions, because that's the value that was there. And I just didn't want to take the risk of possibly not being in the condition I want him to be in, possibly not being able to make the grading plays. Maybe the market cools off and I can't move this stuff fast enough to recoup my money. And I'm thinking back, I'm like, what was I afraid of? Breaking even? Losing a few $100s if the market cooled off and went a little less liquid? You know, making less money than I thought I would make? What in God's name was I so afraid of not to make these purchases on these collections? And I tell you, I still don't have the answer today. I still can't get back in my mind, 6 years ago and figure out what stopped me from bidding on so many of those auctions. I can't. All it was irrational fear taking over of not knowing exactly what I was getting and the exact profit margin I was going to make, and knowing 100% for sure the market was going to stay the same and I was going to be able to sell everything and I was 100% going to be able to make this amount of profit. Just too scared. And similar things like this happened over my early days in the hobby. And these are the things I don't allow to happen anymore. And these are the things I see so many of you new people to the hobby going through, and you're making the same mistakes I was. You're afraid to buy a $600 case of boxes because you're like, Alex, $600 is a lot of money to me. And I understand it is, right? $600 is a lot of money. And you're like, I don't want to lose my $600. And I'm saying, well, who said you're going to lose your $600? What if everything goes to zero? Timmy, come on. What are you really afraid of? Well, Alex, we've had big reprints happen. I've seen it happen. Roaring Skies, Primal Clash back in the day. Well, first of all, XY, the MSRP was lower, right? The actual distributor price was lower. So, maybe those boxes dropped a little more than what we're going to see today, okay? But yeah, Chilling Reign, Battle Styles, Fusion Strike, those dropped to $79, $80. I get it. So, again, let's put your risk into actual dollars, all right? First of all, are you buying cases at $600, or are you finding them on things like Safari Zone or other places for $90, $95? So let's say you're paying between $540, which is $90 a box, $570, which is $95 a box, to $600 a case, which is $100 a box. So you're in these cases for $540 to $600, and your biggest fear is then dropping to $80 a box after a big reprint or something. Sorry, reprint, restock, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. Reprint, restock, I don't care what you call it. It's one of the two. So weird. This hobby's hilarious. But, so you're worried about it dropping to $80, right? That's your big Armageddon scenario. $80 a box. That's $480 a case, ladies and gentlemen. $480. You're worried about spending $540, $570, or $600 on a case, and it drops to $480. You're literally freaked out about losing $60, $90, or $120. The kicker is most of you worried about that probably just went out to a nice dinner with your wife and paid that much on the bill. You probably just went to a concert or a football game where you paid $120 for the tickets and the food and the beers and the parking. So don't come at me with you're just so worried about losing all this money in this hobby when it's like, when you break down the dollars, what are you really afraid of, man? Find cases at $90 a box, maybe it drops to $80 in worst case scenario, and you lost freaking, $90, $70, whatever. Big freaking deal. Now, here's the thing too. Everyone always overemphasizes the downside, and they never even think about the upside, right? So if I say things like, well, hey, what if Surging Spark goes to $200 after release? Oh, Alex, you're being unrealistic. That's crazy. But if someone says, what if Surging Spark drops to 80? Yeah, that could happen. What do you mean that could happen? Why can't it go to 200, but it can go to 80? Right? Like, what am I seeing here? Everyone is so likely to just all pile in on anything negative and never think about the positive side of things. That's the other fallacy in investing. Is I understand you want to do your risk analysis. You want to make sure that you're buying in at the right prices. You're not overtaking risk. You're being realistic, positively geared, risk to reward ratio, all those good things. But if you're really sitting there and the only thing going on in your head is all the terrible things that can happen, and you're not at least saying, well, if I'm right though, this is going to happen. If you're not at least giving yourself the benefit of the doubt and saying, if I'm right, this is going to happen, you've already lost, right? You've already lost it up here before you even put the money to paper. And so that's the biggest thing I want people to do is give yourself a real dollar amount in terms of risk when you're moving in these items. Like, people will message me about a box. Like, they're worried about buying a booster box. And I'm like, Alex, should I buy this box at $100? Like, is it risky? What's risky? Could it go to 80? Sure. Is $20 going to change your life? If it is, then don't buy it. If $20 isn't going to change your life, I don't know, why not? Right? I mean, it's like, it's crazy, right? And this kind of goes into the other reason that people make terrible decisions in this hobby is they want to get out their magnifying glass and scope out the entire internet, and they will not buy a product unless they get the bottom dollar that anyone's ever paid for that item. Alex, I found these boxes at $93 a box, but I was in your Discord and someone told me in there they paid $91 a box. Now, is it true that Eli has a distribution program at $88 a box? Someone told me P Football Pete only pays like $80 a box. Or, this guy over here, he got some crazy deal for, it's mind-blowing, guys. It never ends. And people they analyze themselves to death. They're so worried to pay 90 or 93 or 87 or 95. And the problem is they never buy. Dave Ramsey says this about 401ks and, retirement planning is, the one thing people who retire millionaires have in common? When it's not about the mutual funds they pick, not about the S&P indexes, it's not about anything they invested in. The biggest factor is, guess what? They put freaking money in the investment. That's it. The people who do the best in investing are the ones that get out of their brain and they just invest every single month for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And guess what? They end up successful. Imagine that. They buy when things are up, they buy when things are down, and it all averages out to a nice gain over time. That's the biggest thing I can tell you in Pokemon, is the people who are successful are the ones that stop worrying about all the stupid price points and they buy the freaking product. Do you think here, Evolving Skies, where is it? Right here. Do you think anyone out there cares if they paid 95, 97, 100, 103, 90 a box on Evolving Skies? Does it matter? Doesn't matter. All that really matters is, did you buy it and did you hold it? Because right now when it's $700 a box, you're not worried, did I make an extra $2 or $3 or $5 a box? You're just thinking, I'm glad I bought those when I did. And the same thing goes for all these sets. I know that's an extreme example. I mean, Fusion Strike. Are you upset that you didn't buy it at 80 when I did and other people did? Are you just so upset that you don't even want it? Oh, it's $90 a box now. I'm not buying it now. Alex got it at 80. Screw Alex. I'm going to wait till I get it at 80 again. And then it goes 95 and $100, 105. I'm not buying this. Way too expensive. And now it's $200 plus. Did it matter if you bought it 80 or 90 or 95? Did it matter? You doubled your money in a couple of years. How stupid do you have to be? And the more you try to talk yourself out of these plays, the more you're going to miss. Now, I understand there's a fine line, guys. I'm not trying to say, when 151 Japanese is at $180, $200 a box, say, well, it doesn't matter when I buy in, at least I bought. No. That is not what I said. Don't take my words out of context. I'm saying when things are near the bottoms they've ever been, right? The 80s, the 90s. Those are very safe, off-risk plays. With Japanese product, when you can buy it in the 40s and 50s, those are very low off-risk plays. Where the worst case scenarios, it doesn't move, or maybe it trails down a little bit, 10%. You gotta get out with shipping and fees, you lost a few bucks. Big deal, this isn't gonna change your life. And then the thing is, people will say, well, Alex, once you get up in the quantities, it's gonna change your life. Yeah, but the people who can afford the quantities can afford to take higher risks and higher losses, right? So for someone who's not very far along financially and they buy a case and lose a couple $100, that may be devastating. To someone who can afford 10, 20, 50 cases and they lose a few $1,000s, it's not very devastating to them. Does it make sense? It's all relative. And so when I buy all these cases, say I buy 10 cases at, $550 a case and it goes to $480, it goes to $80 a box and everyone's freaking out. In my mind, I'm saying, okay, I lost $70 a case times 10 cases. I lost $700. Boo-hoo, move on. And guess what? I'm not looking to sell those cases. And odds are, in another, 6 months, a year, 2 years, all those cases are going to be back up at 550, 600, 650, 700. And look, I didn't jump off the roller coaster. I didn't get hurt. And now I'm up money and I have unrealized gains once again. And that's all this is, guys. All investing is staying out of your head and letting the historical data be your guide buying in, actually taking action, actually putting your money to work in something, at obviously good price points. It doesn't have to be perfect, but good price points. It doesn't matter if you pay, $85, $88, $90, $92, $93, $95 a box, $100 a box. Doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Over time, you're going to be okay, as long as you put your money to work and held it for a certain amount of time as it rose in value. Now, you can get into all kinds of different conversations on when to sell, what price points, where's a better investment, where can I put my money. That's a subject for another video. But the whole subject of this video is don't let fear get in the way. And make sure you rationalize your fear before you let it get in the way. There is times where fear is justified and it doesn't make sense to make those plays. After Nvidia goes up, 1,000%, whatever it's up, it might not be the best idea to buy it at the top, right? Just saying. Maybe after, XY base set just went from $900 to $1,500, yeah, maybe it is not time to buy right now at $1,500, right? And there's a ton of scenarios like that. Yeah, maybe it's not the best time to buy when things have had a massive run, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about buying at the lows, somewhere around the low, putting your money to work, letting it grow over time, not listening to all this stupid news and YouTubers all throughout the time saying, this is going to crash, this is going to go to the moon, this is up, this is down, oh my gosh! And then you come back 3, 4, 5 years later, all your boxes are probably up, and you made money, and you didn't let all the emotions get in the way. So, that's it, guys. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't let fear get in the way. Don't, think about things irrationally or unjustified, and just put your freaking money to work and shut up and move on. Hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're not. Be back here in a new one soon. I'm out.